How you doing, folks? My name is Steven Fernandez, and I'm entitling this video with the title, Why You Should Not Convert to Marry a Jehovah's Witness. Now, I'm going to go into a little detail about my life and, things that have gone on with me. I want to share my experience and my reasoning behind why a person should not make the conscious decision to become a Jehovah's Witness and to basically give up their entire life, their secular life, as they would call it, to basically marry somebody within the Jehovah's Witness faith. So, like I said, I'm going to share some things with you. Hold on here. I'm just trying to get rid of some junk out of my phone like that because I want to be able to focus on telling you all the story. Okay. Got it. Let's go ahead and start from the beginning like that. I grew up in a very volatile home. My mom and dad got married at the age of 17 and 19 years old. It was a tumultuous marriage between the two of them. Constant fighting, constant drinking, constant cheating, constant, whatever. And basically, I'm the third born out of 5 original siblings. And pretty much I was the one that got the brunt end of the situation like that. Middle child. Nobody really wanted to deal with me, except for my father. So I went through life being bounced around from, parent to parent. And pretty much, I had trauma at 3 years of age like that. My 15-year-old cousin decided to use me as a quote-unquote human dildo, a sexual object. So I had to endure that, and I became hypersexual later in life. Down the line, my dad got remarried to a woman that pretty much I don't think that he really did love. I'm not sure what the deal was with that, but I talked to my dad about what the reasons behind that was, and he couldn't give me a definite answer. But I accept that, and he knew that he couldn't put me in the situation that was going on with his second wife, so he decided that the best thing was for me to go live with my mother. So he left me with my mother, and that's where all the secondary trauma started. I was abused by my mother and by my stepfather. Mostly my stepfather, like that, handed out the physical abuse and the mental abuse. It was the emotional abuse like that my mother kind of had help in because she allowed it to occur. I remember one time like that, my stepfather shoving a toy gun into my rear end orifice because I wouldn't stop popping the gun. I remember being financially restricted from doing things like my siblings. I was restricted from eating certain types of foods. I was restricted from doing certain types of activities. These are all things that I guess my siblings may not agree with me, but it did happen. Those are my experiences. So during my teenage time like that, I'm very depressive. I'm very volatile. I really don't want to have an existence to where I'm struggling to just survive life. So I made some stupid conscious decisions like that. I joined JROTC to kind of appease my stepfather, and maybe that he would ease off of me, and that really didn't work because the abuse still continued on. So I met this girl later on in life. I met her actually in 10th grade. I didn't have any dealings with her until my junior year. Excuse me, I'm trying to just adjust myself. Let me try to adjust the camera so y'all can see me a bit better. There we go. Let's try to adjust a little more. Oh my God. There you go. It's like this camera just will not cooperate. Sorry. Try to adjust the chair. There you go. So, I met this girl in my sophomore year because my mother, again, the emotional abuse was I should have been in 11th grade. It was very devastating that my mom allowed the school to hold me back in the 10th grade a second time, which I was willing to do the work to graduate, the time frame that I wanted to graduate like that, but I had to graduate a year later with my little brother. It was very devastating. It was very humiliating for me that she wanted me to repeat something I already did. It's just that, when I came from California to New Mexico, they wouldn't accept the credits that I had. So she just decided that, she was going to make that conscious decision for me. So I met this girl, 10th grade. I thought she was very pretty, I had an attraction to her. And my friend told me basically that she had a boyfriend, that his name was Howie. He was a big, dude, had muscles, all that kind of stuff like that. So being the, shy, awkward, little skinny, teenager I was, I didn't pursue her. I did not, talk to her. I didn't try to, get to know her, anything like that. And then later on down the line, she started talking to me, and we started getting to know one another. We started off kind of, just on friendly terms like that, seeing each other in the hallway, seeing each other in the RTC room, and we strike up a friendship. And really, she shouldn't have like that, because one thing that I didn't know about her was she was a Jehovah's Witness. She was not really allowed to be associated with worldly people, as they call it, or people outside their religious aspects, but she did so anyways. She was, breaking their rules. So we're becoming fast friends. I'm beginning to get an emotional connection to her. And I remember one time I tried kissing her. She turned away, and I asked her, later on down the line, I said, hey, why can't we be affectionate to one another? And then she finally tells me the truth, like, well, I'm Jehovah's Witness, and the only way I can be with somebody, in that way is for them to be a witness. So me, being a dumbass, if you will, being, naive and vulnerable, really vulnerable like that, low self-esteem, low self-worth, I decide that, well, if I become a Jehovah's Witness like that, then can I be with you? And I'm not sure if she was really against that, but she kind of went with it, and I started studying with the witnesses. I started trying to learn about what they call the truth and their religion. So I started doing all these things, and my family started noticing a pattern of like superiority, of what do you call it? Judgment, superiority judgment. I guess you can call it like that. Where I was looking at everything they were doing as being wrong. Everything that they're doing is wrong, and all the things that I was doing were, correct, because they were all biblical principles. And they were noticing this change. They didn't like it, and they started, lying about, my girlfriend, as you can call it, or my friend, and saying, oh yeah, we know about this girl, blah, 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 blah. And I think they were just trying to get me to, cut out the relationship, which I probably should have listened. I probably should have looked at it a bit better, and I didn't. So I continued on, and it got to the point where it got me thrown out of the house because Linwood, my stepfather, I'm not going to go into his last name, but Linwood decided that, I was going to do what he wanted to do, regardless if I wanted to do it. And I turned 18 at that particular point when I was thrown out of the house. And I was going to summer school. I mean, I was doing my school. I was doing what was required of me to get an education like that, and I was getting okay grades, decent, not really great, but grades that you could pass by comfortably. And I went to summer school to make up for some things that I missed, and it was going to be a second semester summer school, but we had a district convention that was coming up, so I was like, well, it interferes with what I'm doing. I can easily go to night school, do that, and still graduate high school, so on and so forth. And I went to go tell my stepfather and mother that, hey, I'm gonna go to the convention like that. It's gonna interfere with the school and like that. And oh no, you're not gonna go do that like that. You're gonna go to summer school. And I told him, well, I'm 18 like that. I think I can make that decision. And that's when Linwood got pissed and said, well, you don't get to make that you think you're gonna make that decision like that? Fine. You're 18. Get the hell out of the house. Nowhere to go, nowhere to be like that. I called the elders up like that. They were of no help like that. One sister that was in congregation like that offered me, to room with some brothers that she was renting a apartment to. They weren't too happy about taking me in, but they were happy to take advantage of me because I had a job. I brought in groceries like that. They contributed nothing to the household but eating my food and having me basically provide for them. All this was tumultuous towards me. I didn't know any better. So after a while, when I couldn't live there anymore and I couldn't support myself and I had to sleep outside in a cardboard box, my future mother-in-law decided to call my father up and asked him to go ahead and take me in, which he gladly did. He sent me a plane ticket to go back to California, and I had to leave my newfound, friend behind. And that was the first time ever that, I felt, loss. Because I didn't think I was going to see this girl ever again. I didn't think that was going to be possible. So I went to California, and I cried the first day that I got there. I got sick with hepatitis A. Yeah, I remember now. It's hepatitis A I got sick with. My dad took me to the clinic like that, and I got myself well like that. My mother, helped. Well, my stepmother, she helped me basically, get better, and my my father helped me get better, and I got through it like that. And I would be taking care of my little brother and sister, and I got close to them a little bit. And they were a little bit irritating and everything else too, like that, and. Just like all brothers and sisters like that, especially when you're the older brother and you got little brothers and sisters who are, a little bit of pests and just don't want to listen to you, the older brother. It gets on your nerves like that. But, hey, I still do love them. I still think about them, especially my brother Michael, who, I just want good things with. I'm going to adjust this camera yet again because it's not working for me. Okay, there we go. Now that's a lot better. Anywho, my mother and father try to help me, reward me with little things here and there, taking me to Universal Studios, taking me to Disneyland. Everything was, okay at that particular point. But, being with the religion and everything, it still kind of, limited me. It limited my ability to really, critically think that if I wanted this, all I was thinking was, but I'm doing this for my wife, for my future wife, Eugenia. I'm doing this for Eugenia. I'm doing this for Eugenia. Now, that's my wife's name, by the way. It's Eugenia. And I was like, I'm doing this for Gina. It's all worth it like that. And before I left like that, my father told me like that, it's like, son, I don't think you're ready for this. I don't think that, you should go. I can't stop you, but, you got to think on these things. And I didn't. I left with no plan, at all. No plan of where I was going to live in Clovis because I no longer had my family. No plan of, how I was going to live, as far as money, job, anything like that. None of that stuff mattered. It was just getting back to Clovis like that and getting back to Gina and being with her because during my time in California, I asked her to marry me and she said yes. And that was, I think, mistake number 3 was doing that. Because I didn't know what it meant to be married like that. Just that, I want to be with this person for the rest of my life. So, that's what I thought, normal people did. They got married like that so they can be with a person for their entire existence. So I get back to New Mexico, and it's hard to do anything over there too. I had several different things that I had to do in New Mexico just to survive. I became a radio DJ in Portales, New Mexico. I'm not sure what I did before then. It's hard to think about. But I was doing okay there. I was learning the ropes and everything. I was the nighttime radio DJ. It was hard. Sometimes I felt, I will not lie. If you're out there, Mr. Bowles, and you're watching this, I'm sorry like that. I did fall asleep at the controls like that, because sometimes I couldn't get enough rest like that. I mean, the person that found me a place to live the first time around, well, it was a friend of my future mother-in-law's. I couldn't really get out there from the country to my job, and then from my job to from the other place I got like that, because I started living with another gentleman. It was an older gentleman, so I rented a room from him, and things just didn't work out too well. But then we got a new program manager, and he came in. He thought he was going to change everything around. He was going to run the roost like that and do all this stuff, and he fired me because of certain things that happened. And he thought he had total control like that until my boss, Jim Bowles of the radio station, he decided to fire this guy because this guy was just a maverick, and he just wanted to be in a position where he could do whatever he wanted and however he wanted, and that wasn't the case of why he was hired. So later down the line like that, I have several different other jobs like that, different odd jobs. I worked for Burrito Bandito in Clovis, New Mexico, and I ran into my old boss, and he says, why didn't you just come back and ask for your job back? I told him I didn't know I could get my job back. I had no clue. But I know, and when he said that, I mean, he didn't even offer me a job like that. Well, you can always come back like that if you want to come back. I'll be happy to have you. And I probably would have went back being in radio. I probably would have. I would have no problem with that. I wouldn't have no problem doing that now, but I think, that right there, it's a hard market to get into here in Texas, and here especially in San Antonio, or in, sorry about that, people, or in any market in Texas, really. So, going forward from there like that, I mean, I was trying to keep jobs, trying to, talk to my fiance, keep things going, go to the meetings like that. I finally get baptized, Jehovah's Witness in, I believe, 1990. So I became a baptized publisher, and still going to meetings, everything. And when I moved to Clovis like that I was a baptized publisher, and I had to be with certain elders, I had to study with certain elders, and they would tell me that they thought it was a bad idea that I was marrying Gina and all the stuff. I mean, they were very negative like that. And then the rumors started flying in the congregation that the reason why I came back is that Gina was secretly pregnant, that we were messing around with each other like that. And so to quell the rumor mill, as to speak, like that, because really in Jehovah's Witnesses you're not supposed to gossip, but they do. I mean, that's their number one recreation like that, is talking crap about other members of the congregation. So we wanted to quell that, so we started planning a wedding very quickly. And she got a site for free for us to do the wedding at, because she had friends that worked for the city. She got a venue for very, 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 very cheap. Free's the cheapest I think you can get. She bought the flowers cheap because she had a connection from an old teacher like that in her horticulture class. She used to be part of Future Farmers of America, so she had connections. She had more connections than I did. Okay, sorry about that again. Just like trying to readjust and everything else. And she had connections. She's a very resourceful girl, and more resourceful than I was like that, because I had nobody. I didn't have those kind of connections. So she did a lot of things. She got everything together. All I was supposed to do is just show up. So, and we had our fight. That was mistake number 4. If you can believe it like that, because we had a fight about certain things, and it was really minuscule like that, but it was our first actual fight before we got married. So that should have been a clue. So we got married, she's all happy and everything, but things just didn't go right like that. Right off the bat, her mom interfered in our marriage. Her mom would constantly come over to our place, start crap with me, tell me, how to do things like that. Although, in Jehovah's Witnesses like that, women are supposed to let men lead and have a leadership role and a headship role, and her mom was not about to have that. Her mom was the leader. She was going to tell me what to do. She was going to tell me how, I was to act, how I was to breathe, how I was to dress, and, everything was going to go the way she wanted to go. And, I tried fighting back on that. I tried telling, her, hey, no, this is not how it works in the religion like that. You have to treat me with respect, so on and so forth. And my wife, didn't really bother to tell her mom, like, hey, you're doing this wrong, Mom, like that. This is my husband. He's the head of the household. It doesn't matter, you're the head over, you're my mother over me. You're supposed to show him respect because, he is part of, the headship. And, you have to show him respect. And, none of that like that. She would come to me and say, you need to be peaceful with my mom. You need not to start stuff like that. You need to just go ahead and take it and not say anything. And, when you're abused, when you're a survivor of abuse, there's 2 ways you're going to go about it. Either you're going to fight or you're going to flight. I could have easily ran away from the situation and said, you know what, this is not for me. Take off, go back to my parents, go back to my family, and say, fuck this. I don't want this anymore, whatever, so on and so forth. And, it just, it was a bad situation to begin with, because it was constant. It was, she'd find ways of getting the brothers to come in and give me counsel, tell me how wrong it was. She would use that we would be around her husband. We were constantly threatened with this fellowship, with being reproved. I tried to help out a fellow convertee that came into the witnesses that my mother-in-law studied with, and I got reproved for taking him to a concert event where he drank, and another one of convertees of his family who drank that wasn't supposed to drink, and I got in trouble for that because I should have been the more responsible person. But I had no idea that this one person was not supposed to be drinking, and I was trying to be responsible, telling this convertee and like that he needs to stop drinking so much and flirting with other women, but he did so anyways, and that was totally my fault, according to the brothers. So I could do no right by that congregation, so we decided that that we tried to keep more to ourselves like that, and not worry too much about them. And I was stricken from having any they didn't want to give me any responsibility in the congregation anyways, regardless of what I did or didn't do. So I had to go get a job because my dad gave us some equipment later on down the line. I think this was 1993, 94. I mean, we were like maybe, we weren't too far into our marriage like that. I think we're still under the 5-year mark of our marriage whenever we got that equipment, because my dad bought a print shop to help his sister-in-law Lydia out. So he was part owner of the business, and he was doing some things like that in the business, Art Inc. If any of y'all remember that business, and they were doing okay. They weren't turning high profits like that, but they're making an income. And she moved to Texas, and he couldn't do anything with the business. So he says, "Hey, I know that Gina is a printer's apprentice like that. You think that y'all want to go ahead and get equipment and or take over the print shop business like that?" So I asked my wife. She said, "Oh yeah, that'd be great like that. We can get the equipment like that and start our own print shop. Blah blah blah." I said, "Okay, mistake number 5. Mistake number 5. We should have ran the business in Newport. Should have found out from my dad. Okay, if we keep the building, how much is the rent? How much is this like that? Can I count on you to help us still run the business?" And so on and so forth. I think that we could have made a really good run of that business, and we could have probably learned a lot from my dad and learned a lot from just doing the business. And because my wife was knowledgeable in that thing, because in printing, because she was doing it, she was actually putting in the effort to learn the trade. But we didn't. We took the equipment. We took it back to New Mexico. Found a building. Basically, we're going to purchase it. It was a owner, a rent-to-own situation like that, owner financing type situation, and we go and do the stuff. We start trying to print some things out, get some business going, and as soon as we named the business the Printer's Devil, the brothers of the Jehovah's Witness congregation made sure that nobody, and I mean absolutely nobody, did business with us. Our business failed miserably. And then my wife was pregnant with my first child, and basically was was not too happy. We were well, no, she was not. I think we already had our first child. Yes, I think I need to backtrack like that, because we were living in a different place like that. I think I was working at Kmart before all this stuff, and I got fired from Kmart after a while, and they accused me of stealing or trying to cause theft, because I didn't know what happened like that. I mean, I froze and thought like that. What I did was stupid. I made a conscious effort by saying something like that, and I couldn't do nothing about that. But they got all their stuff back. I accepted what happened. They escorted me out and everything else. I was devastated. I was humiliated. I should have known better like that. But again, like I said, I had nobody to tell me these things. Had nobody, to freaking darn give me guidance in my time of need. I was desperately calling out for help, but there was nobody there to help me. But anyways, like that, when my first daughter was born, my wife felt like a failure because she couldn't give birth to her naturally. It was a cesarean section. She developed HELLP syndrome, and the doctor told us like that, either two things were going to happen: that Gina was going to die, my daughter was going to die, or I was going to lose both of them. So, one like that, either one will die. On the second, that both of them was going to die. So, luckily that didn't happen. I thought it was the grace of God and like that, and she didn't bleed out because her blood was like water. My daughter, survived too, like that. And I thought that was the grace of God. Thought that was a sign. But, it really wasn't. It's just, it was a miracle, but I don't think it was God. But anyways, going back to the whole print shop and the business bombing. So we stayed in that building like that with our first child. We had, she got pregnant with our second child. Our second child was born in Portales as well, along with our first daughter. Our first daughter was born in Portales. And basically, we raised them over there in that building. And my mother had access to that building, had keys and everything, come over there, start crap. Had to find jobs outside, the business because it flopped. I, worked at a burger place. And then after that didn't work out too well, they let me go. She got me a job at her job because Heilig Myers decided to move in and start a furniture place. So I worked at Heilig Myers. And it was a good job at first like that. I mean, it wasn't the greatest job like that. I mean, it wasn't a full-fledged employee as of yet. I still had to, earn my uniforms and everything. But, things started getting out of hand. And my mother-in-law comes up to me and says, like, that one of the employees accused me of making sexual advances against her. And I was livid, like, what do you mean making sexual advances against them? And she was telling me like that. And so I confronted that employee. I said, hey, are you saying that I, made sexual advances to you? What's the deal on that? I didn't do any of that stuff. And she went and confronted my mother-in-law too. She said, Josie, I never said that. And my mother-in-law got livid. Like, oh, well, you said that and you're lying and so on and so forth. And instead of giving her the benefit of doubt like that, or, finding out from the employee if that happened, because, why go tell my mother-in-law that I'm making sexual advances towards another woman if you're not going to go to the bosses, like, that employee, you're not going to go to bosses or HR and say, hey, Steve's making sexual advances towards me like that. Y'all need to have a talk with him. Why go to my mother-in-law? That didn't make sense. So the assistant manager brings me into his office, and he tells me, I don't know what's going on between you and Josie, but, I can't have this in my store. One of y'all's got to go, and it certainly ain't going to be Josie because she cleans. It was, almost verbatim his words. So I'm like in panic mode. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to lose another job. I'm like, I can't have this happening. I got to be employed. I got to support my family. I got 2 young children at home. So I remember the time that I went, it was, I think, for about a week or so. I went over there to Portales with with the manager that I was working with. And we were trying to set up their store because they used to be a Heath's Furniture, and they changed to Heilig Myers because Heilig Myers bought all the Heath furniture stores in the Lubbock area, and they had one in Plainview. So I told my assistant manager, yeah, they have a place that I can go in Plainview because they said if they ever wanted to go and work for them, they were happy to have the help. So he was like reluctant. He's like, well, let me make a phone call and see if they're willing to take you. Sure enough, he got on the phone with them later on, come back like that, and calls me back in his office and said, yeah, they're willing to take you like that, so I'm going to transfer you to Plainview. So I transferred to Plainview. I had to leave my wife behind for about, a couple of weeks because, we had to find a place to go. Well, I had to work there. I really didn't have a place to go or somewhere to be. So, I mean, I'm trying to do my best like that, work there, for a couple of weeks, get to learn the lay of the land, learn, the people that I'm working with, learn about my manager, and after 2 weeks like that, I go back and go get my wife like that. She's happy to see me and everything like that. We go rent a U-Haul. We pack everything in the damn U-Haul, and we left in the middle of the night. Before we did all that, we changed the locks on the building. We gave the keys and a quick claim I forget what it's called like that. But basically, we gave the title back to the owner and the building back with the keys, and just null and voided the deed to the building. And we left in the middle of the night without telling anybody where we were going. And my mother-in-law had no clue where we were or anything like that. All she knew is that I transferred to the Plainview store. She didn't really try to come find us. I mean, everything was going great. We had no interference from her mom like that. I mean, we were happy. We were doing things. We were, enjoying ourselves. We were, going out to eat as a family. I mean, we were enjoying ourselves. We were still going to the meetings. I mean, we weren't too happy about that. That's the only thing. We didn't like the congregation we were in. We were going to their parties and everything else, like trying to blend in and do things as a family. But a few months go down the line, and lo and behold, she walks through the door of my store. And like, oh, hi, Steve. Like, oh my God. It's like, oh shit, what the hell is going on now? And she's like, I want to see Gina. You know where she's at? I told her, I said, I don't really think that Gina wants to see you. And she got livid in my store, started ranting and raving, making a ruckus. My manager comes out, and he's like, what's going on? And she tells him, oh, hi, I'm Steve's mother-in-law, like that. I'm just trying to find my daughter, like that. Oh, okay, like that. And then he brings me in the office and says, Steve, I need to see you in my office for a moment. So I go in there like that. I said, you need to take care of this. I don't need this in my store. If this continues, I'm no longer going to have you here employed with me. So to save my job, I tell her, okay, this is where we live. This is the address. You can go over like that. I don't think she's like that. From what I got told, that my wife went and gave her the riot act. Told her, what are you doing here? Why are you bothering us? So on and so forth. She said that she had it out with her mom. So at that point, started the whole ball rolling of what I would do next. And it would devastate my relationship with my wife at that point. So after all that, I got in a depressive state, because then later on I learned down the line, in a month after all that stuff happened, she moved to Tulia, which was 30 minutes away from Plainview, to be closer to her daughter. So she got her husband and her to move to a motel and run a motel up over there. I was not going to stand for that. I got really upset over that, and pretty much I started thinking of ways like that. It's like, how can I get rid of this woman? This woman's not going to stop. She's not going to, she's not going to cease anything she's doing until, she gets her way. And, of course, Jehovah's Witness, there's only one way to get out of marriage. You can't just, leave. You just can't, separate from your wife. You can't just, walk away. The only way to get divorced, and the only way to have a divorce, is to have an affair or be, what do you call it? You have to have an infidelity, to order to have a divorce. So I made a stupid conscious effort. I'm going to find somebody that's going to be willing to cheat with me. That, I can go ahead and just, drive a wedge between me and my wife, where she'll divorce me, she'll go back to her mom, everything will be hunky-dory, and, I'll have peace of mind. I made that conscious effort. I take full responsibility for that. That was not my wife's doing. But, and I can't say that it was my wife's mother's doing, but certainly my wife's mother had a hand in that, for that decision to occur. Because at that point, like I said, I had nobody to talk to, nobody to get good advice from, nobody that tells me, okay, this is how it's handled the situation. It was just, a stupid conscious decision of emotion, where I did not think it through. So I did the act. I found a 19-year-old girl that was willing to, get my affections like that. She thought I was free and clear. That, oh, hey, this is a 20-year-old, 20-something-year-old guy like that, single like that. He's interested in me like that. Thinks I'm pretty, thinks I'm cute like that. Until she, her friend got a little suspicious. Like, this just looks a little too good to be true. And, because I wouldn't really spend that much time with her, I would go home. And she's like, I know you're, that you don't spend very much time with her. Are you married? And when she said that, my heart sank like that. I couldn't really, be untruthful and say, no, I'm not married like that. What gives you that idea? I couldn't lie like that. Because, to me, that went against my values. And I looked at her friend and at my newfound girlfriend, if you can call it that. I looked at them and I said, yes, I'm married. And I said it just like that, with a heavy heart. And of course I could see in my girlfriend's face like that, she was devastated too, like that. Like, oh my God. And then it's like, and I told her, like, yeah, things aren't good in my marriage. I told her all the good things like that to try to manipulate her into staying in the relationship like that. Yeah, things aren't good. My wife's not treating me right like that, which is bullshit. It was all bullshit. Everything I said was bullshit. I know how to manipulate people like that with bullshit. And that's what I did. I manipulated my wife with bullshit. I don't love you anymore like that. I don't want to be with you. Like, that was all bullshit. So, anywho, yeah, I basically, had a relationship with that girl, kind of, had an emotional connection with her, tried, having this relationship. She finally left me like that, and, I knew it was the right thing to do. I cried because I had guilt about what I was doing to my wife. So I go back like that, and why I was asking me, to stay like that. And I told her there was no promises, no guarantees. And that kind of rang true because it all depended upon how she was going to, have a relationship with her mom. And that didn't last too long like that. I mean, yes, we didn't have that. She didn't have that kind of relationship with her mom like that. So, but she was, trying to patch things up with her mom without me knowing. So we go to San Antonio for vacation because it's the first time I ever got vacation paid for, and we had the money to actually go on vacation. So we go on vacation. Things are going good. Down here with my family like that. She's loving it like this. Like, oh, I've never been here like that. It looks nice, so on and so forth. Now it's not so nice, not so, But anyways, like that. And then, we go to a room store. It's like, hey, that's the sister company to Highland Mars. Let's go take a look at, the store. And so we did. We went in there like that. And, I commented on a table piece. Sorry, I'm readjusting this again because I want to be able to be in the frame a little bit better. Damn it. There we go. So, anyways, I commented on this table. I was like, man, those things are like a pain in the ass to assemble like that. And a couple of us over here, oh, should we not buy this table? I said, oh, no, it's a great table and like that. I said, I'm just commenting because, I put these things together, for customers. And, I said, but, it seems durable and like that. And so I sold this couple on the table set. And one of the salespeople that was in the store said, hey, are you in sales like that? I said, no. I said, I work in the warehouse. I'm a delivery driver. He says, oh, that's great. Like, I might need some delivery drivers for a clearance center that we're opening up like that. I said, okay. It's like, so how much you getting paid now like that? I said, I'm getting paid $5.48 an hour. Well, I think I could get you $8 to $9 an hour. And I thought, wow, $7, $8 and back then in that time period like that, that was pretty good pay. That was decent pay. Not great pay, not like great, like, oh wow, I can go buy all kinds of things like that and I'll be rich type pay, but comfortable enough to where I thought me and my wife wouldn't struggle financially, that we could actually do something with that. Say, oh yeah, that's great, like that, yeah, okay, and I'm doing this like that, it's gonna open up like this, that's, and he wanted me like that. I said, well, I got to go back and talk to my manager and see whether or not, he'll allow me to transfer, so on and so forth. So I told him like that, and, I decided that I was going to leave in 1998, I think it was, like that. And I think I kind of did leave there for a while. And I left for San Antonio. I left my wife here with some neighbors of ours that wanted to be friends, that she kind of did friend, and she was pregnant with my third daughter, and I didn't want to leave her behind like that, but I did, and I started living with my aunt and uncle over here in San Antonio, going to work, trying to make ends meet like that, and I get here like that, it's like, oh well, the clearance center is not gonna be a thing that's going to happen, so I'm going to put you in the warehouse like that, but I'm going to make sure you get that $7 an hour. It's like, okay, sounds fair. I'm not, I'm used to doing, work in the warehouse, and I get to the warehouse, and I'm working in there, and it's like really hot in there. It's really, tedious work like that. You've got to go find certain things. I mean, it's a large ass warehouse. I didn't think how large it was like that, and they had the store in front too. Where the distribution center that I worked in was, and so I'm working like that, and I get my first paycheck, and I'm like, wait a minute, this is not right. And I went to the manager. I said, hey, I was promised $7 an hour, and I'm seeing here that I'm getting paid for $5.48 an hour. What's the deal? He looked at me directly in the eye and said, you're gonna work for $5.48 an hour. You're gonna be that same pay rate like that you came in. And I remember that, talking to some temps like that, say, hey, do y'all work here? They're like, no, we're temps. Yeah, it's like that. It's like, oh, that's great like that. I said, how much do they, pay y'all temps? Like, because I was just curious like that. Oh, $5.50 an hour. So the temps were getting paid more than I was. And I told the manager that. I said, you got temps in here like that. They're getting paid more than I am. Like that. I said, no. No. You said, you better, get a hold of somebody like that, because I can walk out right now, and I don't have to like that and like that. I'll find, I'll put in a complaint like that. And so he's like, well, let me make a phone call. And he said he made a phone call, which I don't think he did. I think he lied. He said, yeah, I made a phone call like that, and they're willing to give you $6.50 an hour. It's like, okay, I can live with that if they're willing to give that. So I worked for another like 3 to 4 weeks maybe, and like the second week, like I said, okay, this is gonna go for your next paycheck. Next paycheck comes, still the same pay rate. I'd be like, hey, you told me that this was gonna change. Oh no, it's gonna be the next paycheck. Next paycheck comes, not there. Kept asking for it, and then I find out that my daughter is basically born that day, and so I told him, look, I have to go. I have an emergency like that. I've got to go see my daughter. I got to go and visit my wife like that. So I spent I think about maybe a week up there, 5 days. I'm not sure how long it was like that, but I spent time with my daughter, who was in the NICU, because she was born early. She was a preemie. So I was up there, taking care of business, trying to take care of my wife, take care of my child. My oldest and my second oldest were with their aunt, being taken care of, and she brought them back to us like that towards the end of our time. We went to a place in Lubbock like that, the Ronald McDonald House like that. We stayed over there for I believe 3 days, till we found a vehicle, till we found things like that where we could transfer out of Plainview and out of Lubbock and go back to San Antonio. So we go back to San Antonio, and my daughter's not doing so good and everything else, so we had to put her back in the hospital, back in NICU. And these dumbass university police officers, because University Hospital, which used to be the Bexar County Hospital, they have their own police force, and they thought that we were homeless in our car because they asked us, what are you doing here? I said, well, I said we didn't want to go home. We're, sleeping in the car like that because we got a daughter here at things, so we were just trying to get a little bit of rest and then, go back into the hospital and, be with our daughter. But they thought that we were homeless because we had 2 young children in the back seat in their car seats like that. I mean, we were just tired. We just wanted to, to have a rest like that, and then, get the kids something to eat like that, and go see our daughter. So they contact CPS. CPS more or less puts my wife in a battered shelter women's home, and villainizes me like I did something like that. That we were homeless, living out of the car, which we weren't. We weren't living in the car. I mean, we just moved from Plainview to San Antonio. So yeah, we still had stuff in the car. We had stuff that we're keeping in the car because we're trying to find a permanent place to live. We're living with family. It was really none of University Police's business what we were doing, but it happened. And basically, my daughter comes out of NICU. We take her basically home. Well, my wife takes her to the shelter. She's trying to raise the kids in the shelter without their daddy being around. I can only visit at certain points like that. I couldn't be with them. I couldn't live with them. So I had to do what I had to do. I started working back at McDonald's. I lowered my standards and my dignity to just be able to work and provide for my family. And after a while like that, they helped her get into what's known now as Home San Antonio, which used to be the San Antonio Housing Authority, which was HUD's little operation here in San Antonio. And we get a house, we get a rental that was affordable, that would take Section 8 because she got a Section 8 voucher. She was approved for it. So we lived in the Northeast on Castle Stream off of Mid-Crown and Eisenhower, and I lived there alone for a while. I had the house to myself. We slowly started getting things put in there. Slowly got some couches. We slowly got a bed. Slowly got the kids' bed. Started making it into a home, and we were okay then like that. But I was still missing a lot, and my wife thought like that. Well, if I don't do something, he's going to cheat like that. Maybe if I satisfy the sexual cravings like that, he won't do any of the stuff. So she decided that I was going to sleep with a couple of friends from the shelter, and that was Amity and Amy. And Amity was the first one that she got me involved in. We had a threesome with her, and even though my wife was saying, well, we didn't have a relationship with her like that, that basically started a relationship. This woman thought she did have a relationship with us because whenever the play stopped, and that I wind up basically going towards Amy and like that, letting her have her turn at what was going on, that she got jealous and decided that, hey, I'm not wanting to share this guy. This is the same with my wife. Amity didn't want to share me. My wife didn't want to share me, but she wanted me to sleep with her friends. Like, it's really ridiculous and cognitive dissonant. But anyways, like that, she started a rumor that I got her pregnant, that I refused to take responsibility for her child, and it really made my wife upset. And she kind of asked me that. It's like, oh, do you think you got? I said, no, there's no way like that. I mean, look at the time period like that she got pregnant like that. There's no way I got her pregnant. And sure enough, like that, I don't think I did. I mean, she's never come, with the child and basically said, hey, I want you to take a paternity test like that. I think this is your kid. So, I mean, I never had that problem, exists with me. So, and then with Amy like that, Amy got her kids taken away by CPS like that. And she was in a bad state, so she disappeared out of our lives. And so she never heard from them again, but she thought that because of me and because of what I did like that, that's the reason why that she couldn't have friends like that. That, I'd screw all her friends like that, and her friends didn't want to have anything to do with her. That wasn't the case. That, just bad circumstances and bad decision making. So anyways, like that, I did cheat with, other women. I met a girl that was off of a chat line, and I guess she was looking for somebody too. I think she was just looking to feel. And, I cheated with her. I started working for a delivery company, a reliable delivery, and I met a girlfriend, or I guess, a significant other that was one of my coworkers, live-in common law wife, and we kind of hit it off. We were friends like that. We they kind of came over and kind of interacted with us. My wife really didn't like them too much like that. I didn't really like her living. I guess we would call it like long-term boyfriend, maybe common law husband, what you ever call it. I didn't like Sean too much, but I gave Sean a chance like that, and we hit it off like that. And my wife was pregnant with my son that time. First point like that, I got to go back again. When my wife was pregnant with my son, she was working at Allen Defense League. She decided to go get a job because I was having a hard time finding employment here in San Antonio. So things weren't going all that great. I was really trying. I was struggling. I was struggling to find meaningful employment. Meaningful, not just a paycheck, but something that I can enjoy doing, and that wasn't gonna drive me insane or work me to death, that type of thing. And also too, that's something I could do without being told I wasn't qualified for. So I know that one of the people I was cheating with came to the house like that looking for me. That didn't go well like that. I got I got into a confrontation with my wife. We got all that like that, and she wasn't about to forgive me. I told her I'm sorry, that happened. But she continued on with the relationship. She continued on with all this stuff. Like I said, she was working at ADL. She's pregnant with my last child. Sorry, with my only son. And basically, what was happening was that things weren't not going so well. Gee, I forgot. I lost my thought on that. But anywho, like that. It was going very poorly. She would go and work at ADL, and I tried to basically show her affection, show her, all this stuff, and I would be denied. I'm too tired to do this. I work too hard, so on and so forth. These are all conscious decisions she made. She made the conscious decision to in our first part of our marriage, work for a print shop. Second was to try to make a business of a print shop. Third, instance was she worked for Allsups like that because we needed money like that in order to maintain our rental property. And then third like that was coming to San Antonio and deciding to work for ADL, which she did. That was the longest job she had, 15 years. And I applaud her for that. I really do. But, things weren't going so well. And after a while like that, when my son was born, that, it pretty much went all downhill. My wife got involved in her first emotional affair with, I'm not sure if anybody's familiar with Tom, JW Fairy Tales, but she found this guy online, through the exJW's Witness community when Facebook was still just kind of its infancy. And she started watching him, and she thought he was great and like that. He talked about a lot of things that she went through and a lot of things that, she remembered. And I thought that was all therapy for her. I really did. Thought, okay, this is all innocent like that. She needs this. She needs to kind of, get herself out of the mindset of the Jehovah's Witness mentality, but she never did. She still kind of has it. So she's talking to JW Fairy Tales and, on email and on the phone. And I'm thinking, this is all innocent like that. Until I started noticing that she was walking away from me, not letting me in on the conversation she was having. She was basically, hiding things on her computer. Oh, excuse me. And basically it wasn't until later on down the line that, the issues were already there, that I found the letters to Tom and all the stuff that she wrote to him. And, we're just having the issues after issues. And it really stemmed from money and from me being emotionally unavailable to her. And our lack of communication for that one, too. We couldn't, I couldn't communicate to her that, hey, I'm hurting. This is the way I feel. This is the way you make me feel like that when you complain about me not having work. I already have that issue like that for my mother. I couldn't do any of that like that because, like I said, nobody taught me that. Nobody could help me. Nobody could show me a better way of doing things. These are all things just, that happened and was out of my control. So anyways, like that, after a while like that, she's telling me that, she's going to leave. But before then, we go and we go take a trip to Plano because her sister is graduating from nursing school. So I went with her, and I knew nothing like that. She's like, yeah, I got to go this like that. My sister's graduating. She wants me to be there. We probably both should go. So we did. And we left, I think we left her in the hands of their grandmother. I'm not sure who we left, in charge of looking after our kids. But we did let our kids, be watched like that. And we went to Plano. We got to the motel room. And she immediately, like that, it's like, no, if you're going to do what you're going to do like that, we need to get on. So we had sex like that, down out and, down dirty. And basically woke up the next morning like that. She said, I got a shower. It's like, okay. And then I hear notifications going off on her phone. I'm like, who the fuck is sending her stuff? And then I look at her text messages she got, and she has pictures of guys' private parts, basically showing the picture like this. And so I've seen pictures of her hoo-ha on there too. I went and confronted her. I said, what the hell is this crap, Gina? She just looked at me with the dead eye response like that from her eyes. She said, fair is fair. I was like, oh my God. It's like, really? So we're playing roles like that we're this happy couple, and that everything's fine, and that we had no issues like that. So we're that's what we do. When we don't play it, when people know our business, we become fake as crap. And I've never liked that. I never liked being fake to people. I like to be upfront and honest. But that's the way we were. So after a while like that, at 4711 like that, I developed stones, and they hurt like hell. And because of that, my wife's like, well, I can't leave him like this. So she calls Tom, breaks it off like that. So I can't leave my husband, in pain. That's not right. Which I think comes back to the Jehovah's Witness mentality and the way that they perceive things. So she decides, I mean, they have these bouts of yawning. So she decides that she's not going to go anywhere like that because I need her. So she stays. And like I said, that's a conscious effort on her part because she didn't have to stay. She didn't have to stay to take care of me like that. I mean, I think that, my kids would have found a way like that. My parents would have found a way, and my family would have found a way like that So I had family here in San Antonio. So, anywho, like that, we decide, to stay together. She basically is still distant. She's still not, trusting me too much. And we get told that the house is going to sell. So they have an investor come, the owners, to look at the house, make an offer, and then get out of the house. So they sold it. They sold it to the investors. The investor basically told us, yeah, we'll rent out the house to you for a while, but after a while like that, y'all gotta go. We're gonna let it go to the end of this month like that with the lease. It's like, okay. But at that point like that, we should have known when they said, oh yeah, they're gonna sell this house. Y'all got the opportunity to buy this house. We should have just immediately said, you know what? We shouldn't wait for that. We need to go ahead and move now, and we need to go somewhere as quick as possible. We didn't do that, because we didn't know any better. Anyways, God damn, I'm sorry. I'm very, very sorry. So we left from here and found a house on 307. We thought that the lady was super nice. She let us go ahead and rent out the house like that with no credit check and all this other junk they got now. So we signed a lease. She thought that we were the perfect couple for her home. We signed a lease. We moved into the house, and immediately we saw that it had some issues like that. The hot water broke. The stove like that didn't work properly. The refrigerator like that went and broke down. The flooding in the hallway between the house and the back room. I mean, all kinds of problems like that. But we kept with the house because we didn't want to move. So, anyways, like that, we're paying our rent consistently. We're paying the bills kind of consistently. I did, have some issues like that with vehicles like that because now I'm working for Beam Team at 4711. That's who I was working for before we moved. I was working for Beam Team. And I had issues with that employer because one of the issues that I had was told to me that I have issues working with women. And, of course, my district manager thought that was the truth and kept me from a lot of opportunities like that because I couldn't work with women. And that was just a false thing. So, it limited me a lot to what I could do. But, like I said, we were consistently paying bills like that, and then we got behind. And, we had to pay rent late. And this one was taking our late payments and deducting them from our rent. And we kept seeing this like that. It's like, oh, okay, well, you owe this much like that because, you paid, this much towards rent, but, you had to pay your late fees, so on and so forth. And we weren't supposed to be paying late fees. It's illegal for them to take late fees unless it's specifically said in the contract, which it wasn't. And we get so behind like that, she's panicking like that. It's like, I need to get this, rent taken care of. I need to be current like that. And I told her, I know you do like that, but, it's not much I can do about this. And I start, talking to everybody like that about getting the rent paid and what I can do, what, they would do, so on and so forth. No help. None. So she takes us to eviction court because now we're being sentenced to eviction court. She tells the judge that basically, we're behind so many dollars behind on rent, and that basically that we need to go ahead and pay our rent like that. And the judge asked her too, like that, is that with late fees or without late fees? She says, without late fees. And I had to speak up and said, no, judge, that's with late fees. He goes, what? I said, that's with late fees, sir. And he said, what are you saying? I said, she takes late fees out of our rent. And then he looked at her and said, are you taking late fees out of the rent? Because, you're not allowed to do that unless it's specifically listed in the contract. So he had to look through that contract like that. He's like, I don't find that. And she says, well, that doesn't matter anyways. Can I have adverse, possession in the house? He just looked at me deadpan, her like that, and said, okay. You got 5 days to move out. Not even like that. It's like, no. You should have that because, You need to be setting an example like that as a landlord, that you can't be taking their money. Nothing like that. And he's like, okay, boom. Because I had deals with this judge before, and always questioned his authority and his actions. And this was his way of getting back at me. So we had to move out, and we're like, oh shit, where the hell are we going to go like that? We had no place to go, because we've been looking for a place to go since we were behind on rent. We thought, we're going to lose this house like that. We need to go somewhere like that. And we couldn't really find any place. So my daughter's like, well, Mom, you can move in with us like that temporarily till I can find a place to go. And we did. We tried every which way to find a place to go. Rentals were now wanting, credit scores and credit checks like that, like houses, we're trying to do. And we weren't about to do that. Because there's no reason. There was no reason to doing that. So we're looking around, trying to get things done, trying to get, a place to go. And I pretty much, was resigned to, like, God, we got. And we looked at houses that they build like that, and they finance themselves. We couldn't get approved for that shit. We didn't know what to do. We were trying to get our credit, in order. Trying to get, somebody to co-sign for us, which we probably should have done with those houses. I think, pretty much like that. Then we could have built up equity. We could have had a decent, house payment and everything else, where we didn't have to have PMI and all this other bullshit. But we didn't. So, we're struggling like that. And my wife said, well, I think, Steve, like that, for us to get, things like this going, we need to have your parents help like that. So, oh, hell no. I'm not asking my parents like that, because, they're going to say no like that, and I can't be asking them for that kind of help. I mean, you see that, and when I ask them for, help me with other money or bills like that, what I get. It's like, no. And she was like insistent that basically she, was needing the help like that, that we need to go somewhere. I said, okay. So I'm willing to try this like that, but you're going to be on the phone call. And when they say no, it's no. Well, surprisingly enough, they said yes. And they said, no, we want to help y'all out because we want you to have the American dream. And so we start looking for houses. We worked with a realtor named Demetrius Blanks like that, because we had one house that we actually liked. That was on, I think, Dolnig. It had like almost everything that you could want like that. I think it was maybe a former group home or like that, so on and so forth. And we looked at it, it had great potential. But somebody already snagged it before we could. And pretty much we just kept looking until we got this house over here on Center Street. And my wife fell for it like that. She said, oh, this is a nice house, so on and so forth. And me and my daughter were like, we're not really feeling it. It's like, I don't know about this. Just something about it. And then my wife said, yeah, okay, we're going to take it. And it's like, oh, freaking crap. So she controlled that. And she can't really say, oh, yeah, well, Steve wasn't agreeing with it. I wasn't. But, I couldn't argue with her like that. She was going to do what she wanted to do. She was going to decide what she wanted to decide, and I had to go along with it. So we got this house. And we paid $148. We paid their $60-something thousand mortgage off, which they made a killing off of us after all the fees and the commissions were paid. And we move into this house like that, but we got screwed over by the finance company. Finance company wanted more money to close. That should have been a red flag for us, and to walk away and say, you know what, cancel this contract. We can't do it. We can't do this. And we should have told. I should have told my parents, like, hey, they're asking for more money like that. I think we should just go ahead and cancel this contract and get out of it. No matter if we sign the papers or not like that. There should be a clause like that where we can we can get out of this like that. And we should have found another finance company too like that to finance our mortgage. But I didn't do it like that. I got screwed on the payment, but we were making the payment kind of a little bit consistently until COVID hit. And COVID fucked us over royally. And what also fucked us royally like that was the way Texas did business. Texas decided that, if you're driving without insurance or anything like that, they were going to put a surcharge against you. So that hence got the Driver Responsibility Act like that going, or Driver Responsibility Program. And I was locked into paying a surcharge like that in order to have my license current, or they suspend my license. So it's either have your license, suspended from you driving, or have your license current and legal. And so I decided I wanted legal. But after a while like that, it wouldn't let me back into the system. So it took me a long time to get that done. Got it done through a paralegal. He got me, everything, squared away and legal. And then I pretty much couldn't renew it because I was under the Omnibase program, which, came secondly like that. And because I failed to go to court, they were going to, hose me in another way. So, and they're still hosing me in that way like that because I need a driver's license if I can't renew it like that, because the fact is that there's tickets that are listed on the Omnibase. So I can't do anything. I can't, legally work without an ID, and I can't legally do anything else without, having, money to take care of those things. So it's just, it's a vicious cycle of debt. And she wasn't about to help me out like that because, she was always worried about her bills and, what she's going to do, so on and so forth. I've used, her income like that after a while like that because we both had income, but, we both knew that that was shared income. That was, income in the marriage. And I had no choice like that. I mean, we were taking care of things like that. My daughter started working, trying to help us out with the home like that. My son and his girlfriend were working like that, trying to help us out like that. But they got to talking to their sister. I'm not sure what happened there like that, but they moved out because they thought that we're trying to take advantage of them, that we're trying to use them. And it's not. We were trying to make them responsible for their part and, being in this house like that, because we gave them their own room like that, and we told them like that they could make it into like a mini apartment and do whatever they wanted. We were giving people freedom to do things that they needed to do, but nobody wanted to take advantage of it. Well, things just keep progressively getting worse. My daughter wasn't getting, the hours that she wanted. My wife wasn't getting the money, that she wanted like that to take care of stuff. I had, issues trying to get work. And pretty much it came to a head. One day like that, I got, angry with my grandchildren like that because my grandson started playing with food. And, in this house like that, food is everything. I mean, it feeds everybody like that. And when you play with food, you're taking food from other people, and you're limiting our resources. So yeah, I got a little bit emotionally enraged, and I took it out on my grandkids because what they did, and I shouldn't have. I should have just raised concerns like, hey, your kids are out of control. They're playing with food and like that. We don't have the money for this like that. I mean, you're not going to replace it, so you need to do something like that to be a parent, so on and so forth. But I didn't do that. And, my wife used it as a catalyst like that for everything she did. She took the kids like that, took them off over there to my daughter's. And I'm like, you know what? I said, why aren't you bringing the kids home? Why aren't you home like that? I think you need a break from the kids like that. I said, what do you mean I need a break like that? So you never give me a break before like that. And so, I'm not going to argue with you, Steve. I'm going to tell you. I said, okay, well, do me a favor. Don't come home then. And, that's just, again, emotion, talking. You say stupid things when you don't mean them. And so, at that point, my wife made a decision. She wasn't coming home for 2 days. She took my daughter to a motel room like that with her children. Had her stay with her for a night. Had her stay over there, well, actually for 3 nights. Stayed over there for 2 nights. The second night like that, she brought her home. And my daughter said, don't be surprised if Mom says she doesn't want to be with you anymore like that, because that's what she was talking about. And sure enough, the next day she comes home and says, I don't want to be with you. I don't want to be married to you. I hate you like that. You're a rotten person. And she went and just unloaded on me, and I had no clue that this was going to happen. Had no clue. It really, hit me as a sucker punch to the gut. So after all that, and she's telling me that she didn't want. I find out later on like that because I'm just, I'm depressed. I'm trying to figure out why she said all this stuff, why she feels this way, and during that time I told her, yeah, I understand. I understand. I said, what can I do to make this right, Gina? What can I do to make this right? See, I let myself be disempowered by her because, I wanted to save the marriage. And telling her, how can I make this right? And she tells me I can go to therapy first off, but, she can't think of anything else that I could do to make it right. And so I went to therapy. I found therapy. I went to therapy for, a good solid 3 months there. I felt like it was helpful because it helped me, figure out, my trauma, what made me tick and what made me do, stupid shit. And I thought I was doing good like that, and I tell her what goes on like that, so on and so forth. But during her therapy, and I would ask her like that, and I would tell her things, she'd get mad like that. I mean, therapy wasn't working for her. If you can get mad and angry and keep resentment, then therapy's not working for you. Sorry to say that. You can make it seem like you're getting better, but you're actually just getting worse. You're just looking for somebody to give you that excuse, somebody to validate your feelings like that. It's like, I hate my husband like that because he's a drunk. I hate my husband because he's a crack addict. I hate my husband because he's an alcoholic. And, I don't have to give reasons why I do that like that because I'm mad, I'm angry, and I can be that if I want to. And, that's unhealthy. That's very unhealthy. And that's why I felt Gina was, the state she's in. She's unhealthy. Talking to a therapist like that, trying to be healthy, but her therapist also, too, just helping her along, telling her that I was gaslighting her because I said that her mom was the catalyst to, the issues between us and why, I cheated the first time around, which was the truth. I wasn't going to lie to her. It was the honest truth. But, she sees that as a disrespect to her mom. She sees that as, just using, my trauma and everything else as a crutch. So, I gotta let her have her feelings and her opinions. I know what the truth is, ultimately down the line. And, I just have to let her go. So, yeah, I got mad, I got emotional, and I got, into things that I shouldn't have. But after a while, I would, tell her, okay, if you want to work on it, we can work on it. I just need a commitment from you. And she going all this stuff about how I was irredeemable, and how dare I do this, and how dare I do that. I mean, it's a whole manipulation tactic and blame game all rolled into one. And so I told her like that. It's like, well, you're not letting me with the position of taking a new slab and building on something new. And she just she just didn't want to do it. She didn't want to put in the work. So it got to a point like that where I am looking for answers. So I got into a program to help me find those answers, to deal with the pain, to be empowered as a male, and not like lording over a woman like Jehovah's Witnesses think that we should do, but really try to be vulnerable. Try to be, a little more emotionally available. Let myself, be open with people. And that's what I'm going to try to do. And hopefully like that later on down the line, if she wants to join me, she can. If she doesn't, then, I wish you all the best. But, yeah, I mean, I got people calling her up like that, saying I'm dangerous, saying that, they should get rid of me, just all kinds of things that, were said and just weren't true. And I think that my wife tells half truths and half stories. So, anywho, Um, yeah, that's what led up to all this, and this revelation that, I pretty much, left my family for being a Jehovah's Witness. So it's just things that, things that are an issue. So all I gotta say is to you guys out there, I'm gonna say this: if you're thinking about marrying a Jehovah's Witness, whether it be a guy, whether it be a girl, and you think that you really love this person like that, first off, like that, ask them why they're attracted to you. The answer I got like that because I asked my wife. I said, "Why did you talk to me? Why did you approach me?" And her answer was, "You intrigued me." And to be intrigued by somebody about I want to know what this guy's about. I want to know the mystery behind him. That's not a basis for a relationship. That is a unstable foundation. That's very unstable, very unhealthy like that, because if you really want to know somebody like that, you're going to commit to knowing that person. Be like, I'm intrigued by him, but I don't know him. So, I don't know if his values correlate to mine. And you need to ask him questions, but you need to do it in a platonic way. We didn't do that. We didn't get to know each other in a platonic way by asking questions, by seeing what our beliefs were, by seeing what, things that we wanted in life. We didn't do that. And that was our downfall to begin with. We didn't know, how to align ourselves together. We were disaligned. It's like, if you have a bad wheel, sorry, I have to get this adjusted again. If you have a bad wheel, like, right here, and you put it with a ball tire, the ball tire is not going to get any traction. It's not going to do anything for you. And the bad tire like that could pop at any time. It is a time bomb waiting to go off. And that's kind of how our relationship was like that. Is that I was the ball tire and she was the bad tire waiting to pop. Because I had no traction. I had nothing going for me, nothing to gain. I thought that this woman was the solution to all my problems, and she wasn't. So that's my whole thing. You need to ask questions and know that what you're doing like that is the right thing to do. That that y'all are evenly aligned together, so that way you're two good tires, and y'all are both getting traction and moving forward in momentum in your relationship. The other thing is, do not convert for him or her, because they will not convert for you. That was my folly. That was my downfall. I converted for this woman because I thought I wanted this woman. I really thought that, again, like I said, I thought she was the solution to all my problems. And be honest, it was just further problems. I created further problems. She helped me create further problems. That's the kind of helper I got. I got a helper that created more problems to deal with than I could handle. She overwhelmed me with problems. She wasn't the problem. She wasn't the cause of the problems. She just helped in give me the problems. Because, not only did I have to solve my own problems, I had to solve her problems. So, I overwhelmed myself. So, do not convert for them because, they will not become Catholics. They will not become, Protestants. They won't become, Buddhists. They won't become, freaking Muslims. They won't become freaking darn, Pastafarians, UFO believers, or whatever beliefs you have like that. I always feel that, your personal beliefs are your personal beliefs. That's what I always felt. And I still feel like that. As a spiritual person, as a native, indigenous man, I feel that everyone has personal beliefs that are personal to them. Not one person, and these Christians want to say, oh, you got to believe in the Bible. Yeah, you might believe in the Bible, but you might not believe the same as your neighbor, as your mother, as your father, as your siblings, as anybody else in the world. You might not believe in the same biblical aspects of the Bible because you might have some totally different idea what the Bible says. Because your personal beliefs like that dictate how you perceive spiritual aspects. And you got to be conscious of being respectful of those beliefs. Because not, forcing your beliefs on somebody else like that is the wrong thing. It's unhealthy. It's unhealthy to do. Y'all got to be on the same spiritual level. Y'all got to be vibrating on the same frequency. And to be honest, me and my wife were not vibrating on the same frequency. Third off like that, if you feel like, you're losing control, ask for help. I did not do that. I did not vocalize asking for help. And if you can't ask for help like that, then confide in somebody like that you're having a hard time asking for help. And maybe they can help you ask for help. Because these are things like that. Jehovah's Witness mindset like that, they tell you things that, you can do this all on your own like that. If you just, read the Bible, pray and meditate. That's bullcrap. That's basically doing stuff on your own. That's like trying to put a desk together in piece. That's like putting an IKEA piece like that without the directions. Just saying, you know what, I can figure this out like that. I don't need the directions like that. I just need to, look at Bible scriptures like that, meditate like that, and pray on this, and suddenly I've got this IKEA thing like that, looking really great like that, and lasting a long time. It doesn't work that way, people. It does not work that way. You need some type of guidance. You always need some type of guidance. Don't do this alone. That's the problem I have. I'm doing a lot of things alone. Don't do it like that. Ask for help. If you don't, ask for people's advice before you convert, because that could save you a lot of heartache. It could save your life, from being destroyed. Jehovah's Witnesses is a destructive religion. They destroy lives like that more than they do saving them. People think that they're getting salvation from these people, but it's destructive more than it is saving. So another thing I would say too, like that you need to do, besides asking for help, is to basically when you before you convert, is to really understand that you're going to lose a lot. You're going to sacrifice a lot. I sacrificed my family. I lost my mother. I lost my brothers and sisters. I lost my father. I lost, connections to cousins, to aunts, to uncles. I could not, associate with them because they were considered bad associations. These are things you're going to have to consider because they're going to want you to, have nothing to do with family. Your family's your support system. They're the ones like that love you enough to tell you the truth, to call you out on your own, crap. And tell you because they want the best for you. And I had to give this up. Also, you got to give up your self-identity. You got to give up opportunities like that. I mean, if you want to go to school, you can't go to school. You want to have a great job, you can't have a great job like that. You can't be making money like that. That's being materialistic. You can't, have businesses that where you make tons of money like that. I mean, they limit you in a lot of things. You're put into this box. This little box like that. Everything around you like that is in a circle. And everything is constantly continuing, going. But they put you in this box, and you can go in, into the box like that. And you can go a little side to side or up and down. That's it. You can't, you can't go anywhere else. You have to do exactly the way they want you to do it and how you're going to do it like that. That's why a lot of these brothers and sisters have clean, what do you call it, businesses. This is the reason why they have businesses like that where they do manual work like that because we're gonna need these kind of people in the paradise world, and that's bull crap like that. I mean, oh yeah, we're not gonna have technology, we're not having any of this stuff like that. If God really was that kind of God where you're like, I mean, then the Amish people are correct, and everybody else like that doesn't rely on technology is correct. So I mean, and the Watchtower uses technology. Everything now is printed electronically. Everything, they were using, big old printers like that, which are technological advances like that. You used to have just the, the press that you spin the wheel around, the Gutenberg press, and it made, books like that at a slower rate. Now you can make magazines and newspapers like that with all these huge rolls of paper like that and print out tons and tons and tons of material all at once. And, they're using that stuff. They're using technology. They're using the internet now. They've got their own freaking social media site like that. I mean, think about this stuff, people, like that. I mean, it's ridiculous. And then think about also, too, the history of Jehovah's Witnesses like that. They're only like, a few, like 100 and some odd years old. They have not been around, but they put themselves back in biblical, times, saying like, oh yeah, we used to do this and we used to do that. Not your religion like that. That's the early, biblical characters that are in the book. That's what they said like that, and they were Jewish. They weren't freaking Christians. They were Jews. And then those who converted to what they call Christianity were still Jews. They were converted Jews. I'm sorry to say, that is the honest truth. Jehovah's Witnesses like that, you got to really, do your due diligence. Do not just, make a rash decision based off of emotion that you want to be with somebody that you think they're the solution to your problem, that you think you're madly in love with them like that they're going to love you back like that, because they're still in that mindset. Even though if they leave and they're no longer want to be the truth like that, and they say, hey, I don't believe in this stuff anymore like that, that stuff's still instilled in them. If you grow up as a small child in it, if you're born into it, that mentality is indoctrinated into your brain. It does not leave. It does not go anywhere. It is still there. It is still going to be there. All that knowledge is still locked up in there. And if your spouse has not dealt with that, if your boyfriend and girlfriend hasn't dealt with that because, they don't believe that, there's nothing you can do. You're going to have a very uneven marriage that is going to be doomed from the start. I mean, do your due diligence. Find out about these people. Find out, exactly what they're about, what their belief system is. And if anything like that, I mean, you got to look at their belief system like that. It's like, okay, I believe in that. I don't believe in this. I don't believe this. Weigh your pros and cons. If, more than likely like that, you have maybe 2 or 3, beliefs that you don't, agree on, that's still, going to make your life a miserable hell like that, because they want you to agree 100% or nothing. If you have 2 or 3 beliefs, like even one belief like that that's not involved with it like that, I mean, you may be able to hide it for a while like that, but eventually it comes to the surface. But if you have 2 or 3 beliefs that you don't believe in, that Jehovah's Witnesses has like that, run. Don't walk, run. Run as fast as you can, because it's not going to work. Going back to the whole thing of the mentality mindset like that, I mean, you're going to have a spouse that is going to need to work on herself to get over that trauma and that indoctrination of being a Jehovah's Witness. I, for one, like that, got into it like that. I really didn't believe in the stuff like that, but I went along with it. And I was like, I'm going to follow this like that because this is what, is required of my wife, and I'm going to try to be a good husband. But I never believed in their crap, to be honest. And now, in this day and age like that, my wife can say, yeah, we got away from it like that. I didn't believe in it like that. But your mindset's still there. You believe that, once somebody's has infidelities, there's no going back from that. And that's not true. You have to build trust back up. And, like I said, she doesn't want to put in the work. I'm not going to force her to put in the work. So I've got to move on. I got to put in the work for me. I got to find out who I am again. I've got to find my happiness, what makes, me, a better person, how to fix my communication, how to fix my, how to show my emotions a lot more, how to be vulnerable. I've got to do all this stuff like that and leave her behind, because that's something she's not willing to do. She's only willing to play the blame game, that what I did like that hurt her, what I did, forced her to leave the situation. She checked out in the marriage a long time ago. I have nothing really to say on that. That's a decision by her, and she's got to take responsibility what she did in the marriage. just as much as I taken responsibility of what I did in the marriage. And, to be honest, I did a lot to hurt her. I, made conscious effort to cheat on her first time. I made the conscious effort not, conveying what I needed, what I wanted from my life, and I didn't bother to ask for help when I should have asked for help. So these are things that I got to take responsibility for, and I've got to work on, and I've got to just move forward as, just as myself. And I've got to look back like that. It's like, I can do it because, at that time when I was living with my father like that, I was by myself. I was going out, doing things for myself. I went to go eat at, restaurants by myself, had a cheeseburger and a cherry cola. I would go to the comic book store and, go look at comic books like that. I would go to stores, go look for, clothes, go to the music store, like, go to Jack in the Box, order sourdough Jack. I mean, I used to think of all the stuff that I used to do by myself, go to work like that, not worry about stuff, go home, relax, watch TV, all that stuff. I did all by myself like that, and not really worrying about, what's Gina doing, how's she going at that. It was nice to talk to her like that, and, I would go talk to her at night like that, see how she was doing, everything else like that, because I tried to keep that emotional connection. But really, I mean, if I think about it like that, I wasn't doing it constantly. I wasn't constantly calling her every night like that. Oh, honey, what are you doing like that? It's like, oh, I miss you. And I mean, consciously like that, I wasn't doing all that stuff. So I know I can make that emotional disconnection from her like that. Let her lead her life like that. She comes back, great. If she doesn't like that, I know that, I did the best I could and like that with, the resources I had. So I beg y'all. And if anybody out there is thinking about doing this, I will leave, a way to contact me. I mean, better yet, put your contact information into the comments. I will try to get back to you like that. I will talk to you and everything else like that, because I don't want anybody else going through this. I don't want anybody, thinking that, this is going to work like that. I don't want y'all having that kind of heartache. And if you are in the situation that I'm in too, like that you have a volatile relationship with a member of Jehovah's Witness like that, give me a shout out, because I think that, my insights, have merit. And I don't want y'all going through this alone. I don't want y'all going through this bull crap that I went through, because, really, you should never have to give up who you are to be with anyone, whether it's a male, female. Never give up who you are. You are the most important person to you. Not them, to you. Learn to love yourself. Learn to stand up for yourself. Learn to protect yourself, because they're not going to do that for you. And in the end like that, everybody gets hurt. Everybody. Not just you. You have kids, it hurts them. If you have family, it hurts them. So please do your due diligence. Please really, really strongly think and contemplate on your decision. And please ask the right questions, so you know not to get into the same situation I endured for 30 plus years. Thank you guys for listening like that. I mean, it truly means a lot to me that, y'all be watching this video. And for those that I'm going to send this to you like that, this is an explanation of everything. And if you want to know the absolute truth like that, get a hold of me. I'm not that hard to get a hold of. I will definitely discuss all this stuff with you, and you can give me your opinion. You can give me, what you feel, is all this stuff like that. Different opinion. It doesn't matter like that. I'll listen to you like that. Doesn't mean I have to do what you think I should do, but I'll definitely listen to you. So thanks again, And like I said, like that, this is a video about those who want to convert to be with the Jehovah's Witness. I say run. Okay. Y'all take care. Good health to y'all.